All right, and here we are. Welcome, everybody. We're on the Lance Corporal Cavender show. This is episode 2, The Cave. I'm your host, Lance Corporal Cavender. Today we're going to be kind of going over a little bit of ideas of how we see the world, what we know, why we know it. Thomas, we got behind the mic. He's helping behind the scenes get everything going. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, in the middle of a wild and crazy world that we live in.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So I want to go ahead and today's show's The Cave. So I'm going to start off with an allegory that I hold real close to heart. And it's from Plato, great Greek philosopher. Of course, Plato was a student of Socrates, and then Plato was a student of Socrates, a teacher of Aristotle. Aristotle being the teacher of Alexander the Great, who went on to try to conquer the world. One thing that we notice in human history is somebody is always trying to empire build and conquer the world. And as much as we want to think that that doesn't happen, that's still in very real practice right now.
All the time.
But it's not so much done in a battle, kill everybody way. It's done in a owning the world through the money. You say all the time, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. I don't remember who it was, but a great man said, allow me to control the money, and I care not who makes the laws, right? Because everything's done by this money system. The crazy thing about the money system is it's completely imaginary. I mean, we have faith in it. We believe in it. We live our lives. We get a job. We go pay bills, and we do this and we do that, and we get stuck behind whatever job that we're doing to make that money, to make that dollar, and everything's about that dollar.
And by imaginary, you mean literally not real.
Right. It's a concept. It is a concept, and if you take a dollar, what can you do with a dollar? You can only do with a dollar what that person over there wants to do for that dollar.
Right.
So it is a agreed upon system to make things happen.
Right.
All right. But we believe in that dollar. Oh, we believe with some people believe in God and some people don't believe in God, but everybody believes in money.
Yep.
I mean, what do? Somebody owns something, you got to buy something. Landlord wants you to give them something so you can get something, but it is only just an agreement to do things. I'm going to do something and I'm going to return it.
Right.
So the current the world market is based on this fiat system of we want to believe it's based on gold, but it's not, right? You have the Federal Reserve. They go ahead and say, let's say there's not any money in the world, right? We
Okay.
just start today. No
Right.
money in the world. And Federal Reserve comes out of nowhere and says, okay, we're going to print $100. And we've got one bank. We're going to give that bank $100. And that bank can give it to whoever they want, but that bank's got to pay back the Federal Reserve $110. Well, the math doesn't work up. And there's not $110 out there. There's only $100 out there, and you can't make that $100 into $110. So now that bank owes the Federal Reserve $110. Now you have a deficit of $10. Okay.
Okay.
Now the bank can't pay back that $110, so the Federal Reserve says, okay, we'll give you some more money, and then you can just make payments, right?
Right.
Well, okay, but at some point, it's non-sustainable. So what happens is the Federal Reserve says, okay, you can't give me this money back, but I want these things, right? I want these things that you have. So it says, I've got all these things. The Federal Reserve has all these things, but they can't use them all. They're just owned by it, right? The king owns the things. So what happens is you end up having, you know, I think people should be familiar with the Rothschilds. The
Sure.
Rothschilds are really the foundation of this Federal Reserve System, and the Rothschild family has estimated wealth of like $500 trillion, not billion, $1 trillion.
How do you even obtain that number?
Yeah, and well, that's crazy, and I don't even think that you have $500 trillion of currency,
Right.
so it's based on things. Now, they have these things because they have this make-believe money system that they give out, and then they acquire the things because, it's kind of like, well, you can't give me my money that, there's a deficit on, and therefore those are my things now. Now, since I can't use all these things, I will assign them. I will let other people use them, right? And it's kind of like assigned out, okay? And I don't want to get too deep into it, but basically you can understand that the owner of the things owns everything.
Everything. Right.
Okay, the world, so we'll say, right? And that's the objective, to own the world. Now, how you can't own the world, you have to have people follow around, you have to have fiefs, you have to have people who oversee.
Right.
But that's kind of an overview of what's going on with the money system. So when we talk about the system, when we talk about whatever it is, or when we're talking about this thing that we're trying to figure out in the world, that's kind of like a guiding factor throughout everything in the world, that's what we're kind of looking at. They are the system. They make the rules. They delegate people to run the world in their name. Okay, so I want to start with an allegory. Again, this is back to Plato. I kind of got off track there for a minute, but so I'm going to say that close your eyes and just, not a thing, black. You're in the void, right? You don't know anything of the past. You don't know anything of the future. And you open your eyes and you wake up and you're looking at a wall in a cave, right?
Okay.
Now you can't move. You can't turn your head. But you can see the wall and you can hear the people beside you, okay? Y'all are all chained up. Now, if this is all you know nothing else. So you haven't seen the sunshine, you haven't seen another person, but there's a fire behind you, and you can see shadows on the wall. Okay? Now, you're still an intelligent being, so you kind of identify everything that you know is reflected on that wall.
Okay.
Now, if you hear the guards coming behind you, the guard kind of makes a jing, 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 and then he passes through the fire, and you kind of say, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, that's so-and-so. I associate that and this sound as this thing. Now, you get real proficient at that. That's all you look at all day long, and the people next to you, y'all are all agreeing. Your group, your association knows everything that they know is on this wall. Okay? Now imagine one day somebody comes in and they unchain you. Now, as soon as you get unchained, you start to see your hands. Well, that's going to be a wild concept. You've never seen them before, right? Well, that's going to be scary, all right? Because you're going to learn something profoundly new. It's just, first time ever. And then you're going to see that there's a fire behind you, and it's moving, it's flickering, and it moves a lot like those shots in your world used to, right? But you're seeing now, as you move your hand, that makes a shadow.
Right.
And you're like, wow, That shadow is not real. That shadow is a representation of something, right? So let's say the guy that's released you, he said, like, we don't have time to look at this. Let's come on. I got something to show you. I got
Hmm.
something to show you. So you start walking to the entrance of the cave, and as you get to the cave, you see this bright light. So imagine you're in a dark room, and then you open the door, and you go out in the middle of the sun. Your eyes burn, right?
Right.
It's too much, too fast. So, but as you take a minute, your eyes will kind of clear up, and you'll see, cows in the pasture, mountains, trees. Now just a minute. Imagine before, just a minute ago, all you knew in the world was that reflection on the wall. So you're going to have. I mean, it's called cognitive dissonance, and it's when you have two profoundly different ideas. When you know something to be true and know it in the bottom of your heart, and then you find out that you get a counter idea,
Okay.
and you reject this new idea because it's so different from what you've ever known. And cognitive dissonance is a very real thing. It can really mess you up,
Hmm.
right? So as you're walking, you start to notice that the sun is the provider of all of these things that you see. So even though you think, now you're starting to see things uh, as things instead of shadows, you're starting to realize that they're only things in reference to the sun shining on them. So even they're a representation. So the truth is in the light, right? The
Okay.
source of the
Okay.
light. Now you get a real good feeling what's going on, but so you're like, this is amazing. This is beautiful. I see trees and I can smell new things, and life is so much more vibrant. I've got to go get my people out of the cave. And you go to get them out of the cave, and you start to tell them, hey, this is not real. And they're saying, well, you're crazy. We know these things are real. We've seen them our entire lives. We've got our rules based on it. We have our system down based on this. And you're talking about things.
Yeah, complete opposite.
Yeah, it's like you are a crazy person. And then the more you try to say, no, 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 check this out. I'm serious. Check this out and look at it. It's not happening. In fact, they feel like they've got to do something to save you from these crazy ideas. All right? Uh, and then you start to, you say, I want to be with my people. So you get back down into the chain and you look at the wall, and then you start to wonder to yourself, did I ever really see these things? Right?
Hmm.
You start to question it because everybody, your association has told you, no, that's silly. We know there's more of us, and there's just you saying these wild and crazy things. All right. So this kind of leads up to what I want to talk about, and it's a kind of like waking up. All right. Now I'm not. There's nothing special about me. I'm not more, anything. I'm not a guru. I'm not certified. I'm not ordained. I'm just a guy. Now, I'm a guy with experiences, traveled the world, been to places, done, known people, right? Now, when you start researching and you go to Europe and you start, you go to Sicily, or just you learn the history and climb the Rock of Gibraltar, right?
Hmm.
What's the Rock of Gibraltar? Why was it significant? Why, it's a very strategic historical event. So you research it. You start reading up on it. Why was it? What was this? who owned it, who wanted it, what was the idea on both sides. Now we're in a society that's so binary. It's like my team against their team.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's my team, that's all I want to listen to. I'm not going to listen to anybody else's team. It's my team. And as long as my team wins, that's moral. That's the way it's supposed to be. And we start to say, if you're not taking my side, you're against me, and therefore you're the enemy. And that's a very real system. Now, there's a lot of shades of it, but it still comes down to this basic ideas. Now, I'm wanting to talk about waking up, to start looking at life differently, through a different view, to start listening more to the opposite ideas and less of the ordained groupthink mentality. Because the best thing, the easiest way to control people is get them in a groupthink mentality. Get these people in this organization. This is their classification.
And why is that? Why is it when you get a group of people believing in one thing, you can control them easier?
Well, because I don't have to control an individual. I can control a group of people with one idea, because I know that the clan behavior is going to associate certain they're going to be around each other, they're going to believe the same things, they're going to eat the same foods, they're going to be, that is their clan. So when I want that clan to respond, I do something that causes a response.
Sure.
And by controlling the clan, and as long as they're all very similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as we keep somebody from getting out of the cave and going back and telling them differently, now they've started thinking. Now I don't have that single event, to cause an action or a reaction to an event.
Right.
Okay? So now if I have this group and I've countered up against this group, now these two groups, they're oil and water, and I got to keep them that way.
Right.
I don't want these groups to intermingle and share cultures and share ideas and enlighten each other and become one bigger group. And now I want to get it into 7 or 8 or 9 groups or whatever. However big, you've got to break it down into groups.
Right.
If we're talking about trying to conquer the world, right, we need to break this down into groups, but unified groups, all right, that all follow under one idea system. And that's a very big, it's a big challenge, right, to say the least. It's a big world. Yeah. But that doesn't matter. When you own $500 trillion,
you can do that.
What else are you living for? You know what I mean? You get everything. You might as well try to go get something that's never been done before.
Right.
And that's kind of the idea system behind this. This is a type of family monarchy type, idea system. So they control what you watch, right? We've all kind of heard the Illuminati of the entertainment industry.
Heard a lot of the Illuminati.
Absolutely, and then it's people who start talking about it, weird things happen to them. They get discredited. They develop a drug habit. They pick up transvestites on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to all of them. This has happened to everybody. They develop a drug problem, and that's, if you ever listen to Dave Chappelle, he talks about, why he went to Africa.
Sure.
And it's like,
which was a very interesting story of why he went to Africa and what mental space he was in, the things he was going through. I did, actually, after we spoke about a week or two ago, went back and I watched that about 20-minute snip of Dave Chappelle speaking, and it's very clear of there's a lot, especially in the entertainment industry, there's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors that are, really corrupting people.
And he's telling you something. But he's not telling you
anything.
And that's very big. He's saying, think about this. Think about this idea, and how could that relate to what's going on,
So,
right?
to you, is the Illuminati real?
Oh, absolutely. No question. Now, I don't care what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
I do not care what we call it. But that is very real. It does associate with very pure bloodlines, you know, and this goes back to, and these are things I don't want to get too far into because, again, we're not trying to get run out of the cave, all right?
Right.
We're trying to kind of expose ourselves in a way that we can prepare. You go too fast, sun blinds your eyes. You want to go back over there and look at the cave wall, right? So it is real. It goes back to Egypt. You know, it has a lot to do with Ra and that. You also have a very Roman influence. Now, you say, let's say the Queen of England, she's not Roman or Italian or whatever you want to. But the reality is they're of German descent, and
Right.
German descent, you know, it's a very pure bloodline, and they've made sure to maintain that purity. And it's no longer about, you know, it's not about paying the rent, you know.
Right.
It's not about going on vacation, right? It's about doing something that hasn't been done in humanity. And, you know, religion starts getting into this, and all different forms of control. You've got to control the population. That's why Rome built the Colosseum. That's why they had shows. That's why they said, you know, feed them bread and give them entertainment, and you can get away with anything, you know. And that's not too far-fetched from what's going on today. So the idea is to start realizing, you know, nobody walks around and says, I'm being lied to about everything. We're all intelligent people. We
Sure.
all have the internet. We can Google whatever we want, and Google tells us, right? Except for maybe Google kind of directs things. You know, they've got their algorithms. They program their algorithms. Now, when you have a narrative come out that wants to be pushed, it wants to be, you know, we're trying to control the people. This is why, and I want to go back to the Illuminati a little bit in the entertainment industry. Why the entertainment industry? We're just trying to have a good. No, the entertainment industry is the first teacher of morals, of what's going on in the world. More people know about Jason Bourne, you know, than they do the real intelligence industry, right? Now, there's a lot of truth there, and that's the way you do it. You give just enough truth to send them over to this, you know, far right, right, far left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, you say, "Oh, I know, you know, wow, they know this, I know this, I know this." But there's a distraction factor here, and like the last show we were talking about, propaganda, misinformation, you know, getting the crowd control
Right.
apparatuses, right? And well, obviously, I'm trying to tell you, you're being manipulated here. You were being manipulated here 20 years ago. You're being manipulated here 40 years ago. I'll go back, and I can go back, and I can go back, and I can go back. Of all these histories of things trying to control population and what was going on behind the scenes of the population. Now, to get somebody to realize that what happened 60 years ago is so easily tied to now, because somebody that was running this organization 60 years ago was teaching the guy who's running the organization today. So it doesn't just go, that was last week and this is this week. There's this, you know, it's a continuous flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not that far removed from what was going on from the people during World War II. Okay. So the idea is, how do you know? How do you know? Because an event happens. When an event happens, boom, everybody's aware of the event. They're following the event. Everybody's got an opinion about the event.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get kind of told a general story about the event. Now remember, we've got these uh, different different clans, right? We've got everybody classified, and we know that we'll get these people if we tell these people something that they want to hear, and we tell these people something that they want to hear, and we make sure that it's different to fit them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're never going to really come together. It's oil and water.
Right. Right.
Uh, so that's why I'll tell you over here, and I'll give you this particular, flashing lights and whistles, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
like this beat, and I'm going to go over here, and they like it a little bit smoother, so we're going to kind of slow down and give
Mm-hmm.
it to it this way. But the point is you get them distracted. Get them distracted. By the time if this person's throwing stones at this person's throwing at this person,
Mm-hmm.
nobody's really saying what happened.
Right. Not even looking at the problem.
Absolutely. And as long as as long you've been told what to say over here,
Right.
and you've been told what to say
Right.
over here, so that means nobody wins.
Yep.
Because I've given you your point, and I've given you the counterpoint, and that means you're just going to go back and forth. So nobody's really critically thinking. Nobody's really investigating,
Sure.
right?
Right.
And now, I want to talk about when we're talking about the system and we're talking about the Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
Illuminati is set up. It is a very people are selected to do certain things, and they have
Yep.
things. It's you don't just as Dave Chappelle says, they don't just say, "Hey, good luck with your next adventure." No, you know something, and if you say it, we're going to destroy you this way. And he's telling you that. All of his friends are child molesters, right? Or he's sex
Mm-hmm.
addict. He said something along those lines that all of his friends are flawed and disturbed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what he's saying is all my friends have to do this by the book, or their their closet's going to be open.
Mm-hmm.
That's a form of control, all right? So you want to have the entertainment industry to control people, to give them their ideas, and these people are going to watch this kind of thing, and these people are going to watch this
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
we've controlled what they think, and we're not worried so much about them getting together. So uh, that's the Illuminati. Is very real. It's very, very symbol. You see the symbols. You know what's going on. It's got some pretty significant ideology behind it.
Now, everything that happens, is it all subtle things that if you're not looking at it, you may not see it, or is it all very much in your face and kind of like a hiding in plain sight
It's
type deal?
definitely hiding in plain sight. But I mean, everybody thinks they got free choice, but your brain is going on all these things. If you see an attractive woman, you see an attractive man, you see a nice car, right? You're going to respond to those things.
Mm-hmm.
Food does that to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and they put things in it that your body gets used to it. It's anytime you have a craving, you're having a deficiency of something, and your body's telling you, this is where you got it last time.
Mm-hmm.
Go get that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're taking a symbol with a deficiency, a imbalance, and then you go look for it, right?
Okay.
So that's not anything wild and crazy for you to go find out. I mean, that's
Right,
pretty
right.
well known. So now you do that with colors, you do that with smells, you do that with sounds. Have you ever heard of music that you were doing something that
Yeah.
it brings a memory
Yep,
up, right?
sure does,
So
yep.
all of this, all these things happen, right? So that's why the entertainment industry is so big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another one is going to be your news. The news is big. And it's no longer really about what happened, but
Mm-hmm.
what is the opinion of what
Exactly.
happened.
The angle you want to take
Absolutely.
delivering it.
And you can get a different angle depending on which one you select.
Right.
And you're going to select the one with the pretty blonde hair girl, or you're going to select the one with the brown hair girl, or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You're going to have that relates to you,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Black, white, brown, Chinese, Japanese, I don't know, whatever you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to associate with your clan. And your clan, and so that particular one is going to tell your clan how to behave, how to act, and it's going to know how to select that group of people. Okay. The worst thing that this system can do, and let's if you're a government, your job is controlling people. We say it's the government of the people, for the people, by the people, but the government uses that to say we're going to control the people.
Right. We're going to be the people.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
We'll tell the people what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go talking about the news system, the media system. We're talking about it's owned by like 6 families. It's like when we're talking about the 1% of the world, they're the ones who own all of them. The Murdochs, and they own Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. But it's not like they just own those great big ones. All of those great big ones own all the subsidiaries below it.
And it's funny because those all hit different opinions too. You said Fox, CNN. I mean, those are 2 night and day stations. If you listen to them reporting the same thing, I mean, it's almost as if 2 separate incidents has happened.
Absolutely. And people who watch Fox don't watch CNN. People who watch
Exactly.
CNN don't watch Fox, and they both think they're idiots.
Exactly.
But the thing is the system is doing that.
Right.
They know that. They plan on that. They I mean, these people aren't just, they didn't fall into this. They know what they're doing, right? The executives, the high up executives, right? And when we're talking about running the country of the United States, you might as well be running the world, right?
Sure.
So that's very, very ambitious, and you want to be able to get out there. So you don't want people interfering with your global plans. So that's why this control over the people, and to not let them know what's going on. And some people say, I know what's going on. I follow this, and I follow this. But you're missing, this, and this.
Right.
So, all right, now we know that, I want to talk about Project Mockingbird, right? And I think this came up in early 70s. This is congressional hearings, and they're talking to the CIA and say, are you paying news people to control narratives? And he basically pleaded the fifth. He said, this is not something I can speak in the open forum. I'm not denying it, but we would have to go in closed session to talk about it. That's as close as you get. That's as close as you're going to get for them saying yes.
Yes. Right.
I cannot say no because it finds out I was lying.
Right.
So I'll have to do this very close. So Project Mockingbird is we don't have a free press, okay? As much as we want to believe that we have a free press, it is very involved. Now, how do you do that? Now, there's details of how you do it. I don't want to go in. I'm not the perfect researcher. I'm the storyteller, right? I'm telling you this is how it works. You need to go find it out on your own. But basically what it is if I'm the president and you're a journalist and you say, well, Mr. President, I want to know the story. Well, I tell you what, I'll give you the story. I'll give you the exclusive.
Yeah, there you go.
But this is what I want. You are going to be empowered as a super journalist because I'm giving you the scoop. But in this is a wink and a nod. Hey, this is why we're doing it, and you're going to be on board with it. You may give me you might act like you're my adversary, right? But we know what the deal is. I know the game, you know the game.
Right.
Everybody's happy, right? We keep all of our people, classified in their clans, okay? Project Mockingbird is pretty much telling you, and you can look well into it, detailing, but it is that the CIA kind of establishes the narrative, right? And it's because that's how you collect information, how you know things. That's the information game. Now, the problem is the system wants that news media set, okay? And it's the way it's been. It's the way it's always going to be. And every once in a while, I'm going to tell you something. Somebody's going to say, no, 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 I was there. That's not really what happened. Well, you say that, but you told me that, that's not what we said. And you were caught with a transvestite last week, so who's going to believe you, right? I
Right.
have discredited you,
Right.
right?
Right.
Now, somebody's going to come up and they say, oh, yeah, I saw the same thing, but I wasn't with the transvestite. And that's when I say, huh, maybe for $1 million you didn't see it,
Exactly.
all right? Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. But somebody's going to say, I already got $1 million. I don't need your $1 million. You said, oh, yeah, but that's a pretty little dog you got in the front yard. It'd be terrible if something happened to your little dog, right? Well, ooh, I'm a little bit nervous. I say, well, I don't really care about that dog. I want to tell this story. Well, they disappear, right?
Yeah. Gone.
No, these are things that happen that's not that far-fetched. We watch it. We know witnesses disappear, right? We
Right.
know that people commit suicide by shooting
Right.
themselves in the head twice.
You're right.
There
There was one this past presidential election. There was a journalist that wound up missing who was gonna come up with some pretty incriminating evidence against one of the parties running.
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And Seth Rich was a worker in the Democratic Party, right? And the story is, and this, here we go, conspiracy theory, right? So the story is he got in there, he found out that the Clinton administration rigged the primaries so that Bernie Sanders wouldn't get it and Hillary Clinton would go in. And so what he did was he went in and took some information and sent it off to WikiLeaks, who published it. And, it was pretty embarrassing. That's how we get the Podesta emails. And wow, we're not ready for that. I promise you, we're not ready to talk about the Podesta emails, okay? But that happened, right? And then he was, going down the street and he was robbed and shot, and it was a robbery. But nobody took any money out of his wallet. They didn't take his watch. They went to, he got picked up and he looked like he was going to be all right. And then he just died. Complications, died.
Yeah.
Went from stable to,
It's gone.
yeah. So when you try to get the autopsy, it's like, well, nobody hears about this. Nobody hears these details. This guy was walking, got robbed, died. Story's over. 2 weeks go by. Nobody cares about it anymore, right? Well, what was he trying to say? Well, he had some information. He let information out. He had to go. He's gone. Can I confirm that? Is that the official narrative? No. Does it make sense what they told us about what happened with him? No.
Not at all.
But they don't have to, because people are going to forget. Why are they going to forget? Because you got to watch the Eagles play the Patriots, or they're
Right.
going to watch, you're going to Facebook, you're going to YouTube, you're going to do all these things, and you're going to forget, and you got to take the kids to the playground, right? And
that's a problem here in America. There was a comic I was listening to earlier from Africa who says, he's coming to America and he says, this is the only place here, in the world where, people are so hell bent on, all these statistics and just everything that revolves around sports. They live and die by sports. But what's going on in the economy? Nobody has a single clue what's going on.
well, they do know because they get it from CNN, Fox News,
Sure.
and, and you got this seesaw of, okay, these people are up, and no, these people are up. And if our country really was dependent on completely changing administrations every 4 years, we would get nothing done. But you want the people to believe that you've got your person. He's, oh, everything's great. Oh, my person's down. It's terrible, right? You got half the people saying it's good, half the people saying it's bad. As long as you got this binary system, It's no problem. And they're not going to come together in the middle. They're going to bounce. So you got to have that middle ground too, because the middle ground is what allows you to so easily change.
Mm-hmm.
That the appearance is that you have two systems, but you don't have two systems. You still have, the people who really run the country are the people who are appointed to the judge, to the judicial system, and people are appointed to the FBI, the CIA, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way the country really runs. You can say, I want this to be done, and the president can kind of have some influence over that. But, you know, uh, one man can't run a factory, okay?
Why do we think that? As we look at the president, why do are we led to think, let's pick this man or this woman because they said they can change or do this and they don't. But why do we as a people, why do we just believe in that one person can rule or run this country and run it efficiently?
Well, we come from a kingdom, okay? We come from a kingdom, a monarchy. Now we call it a republic, but we have this deep feeling, and it's hereditary. You teach everybody that's the greatest man in the world. It's the greatest man in the world, the most powerful man in the world, right? So you get this idea that this guy runs everything. It gives you a face. It gives you a face.
Okay.
Now the thing is the great thing about a president is that, well, it was relied on the people. The people selected the president. So whatever happens,
We can turn it back and say,
yeah,
well, you
well,
elected him.
yeah, and this side says everything's terrible and it's all his fault, and the middle says, yeah, that's right. So now we're going to vote this other side. But the problem is, and it's very obvious when you start getting into the Clinton Bush situation. You don't have the Clintons without the Bushes. This is a show that I'll probably get into the Iran-Contra affair, and Bush, senior Bush running the CIA and running drugs through Arkansas,
Mm-hmm.
and you had Clinton was I think he was the attorney general. He ended up being the governor, right? But there was a lot of wink, wink,
Yep.
a lot of cocaine going through Arkansas, a lot of cocaine. All right, but I want these guys are looked at as Republican, Democrat, but they're buddies. They are on the same team. The secret society, Skull and Bones. They're very, very well tied together, and not by accident. But this is the thing. You've got this system. JFK talked about it. The secret societies. We got to stop these secret societies. These things are happening behind the closed doors, where we're talking about closed session and what's going on. Now this is what I'm really kind of trying to push with bringing attention. These things happen. How do you know? When do you have a system trying to dictate a narrative and keep people divided? And when are we, what's a conspiracy theory? Well, conspiracy theory is a counter narrative to get somebody to stop investigating you, okay? Discredit. Discredit is the first step in getting rid of a witness, okay? Discredit them. Call it a crazy thing. Now, when somebody comes and tells you that they saw a great big purple bird fly and pick up Bigfoot and flew off into the distance, right? Okay, that's a great story. What is it?
Right. Yeah, it probably didn't happen. I mean, I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's crazy,
Yeah.
But the person says, no, really, really, really. All right. So give me something, right? Now, everything gets gray. Everything gets gray because not everybody has the same opinion. Because once again, you got this clan, you got this clan, you got this clan. All have different belief systems,
Yep.
different ideas, different, and that's why it's very easy to distract from a unification of, common ideas, right? So it's very easy for me to say, no, that's stupid, right?
Right.
And anybody that thinks that's not the official narrative, it's not the official narrative, it's fake. Now, when we talk about the official narrative, once you have a ordained, set. The ruler has spoken. You can't go against that. You can't go against it because you're making stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is we found that you need independent journalists, right? And the whole purpose of journalism and is to go out there and prevent this power system from running amok in line. But when the power system controls that medium, that's just another part of the government. And it doesn't matter if it's the entertainment industry, it doesn't matter if it's the news, it doesn't matter if it's the big pharma, it doesn't matter if it's in prison industrial complex. All of these things come together, they're woven. Now, I'm telling you, that's a lot of things to put into to grasp.
Right.
It's overload.
The system controls entertainment, even food.
Absolutely.
It's everything.
Food goes into medical goes into pharma goes into, I mean, they come together, okay? Because pharma goes into government because we want everybody to have this government health care because health care is so dependent upon medications.
Sure.
Medications are skyrocketing on their manufacturing, but they're manufactured that's based on government regulations that cause them to go up. But as long as we have people, if the government's paying it or the insurance is paying it, it doesn't matter that it's marked up 800% because people aren't going to pay for it. The doctor knows he's going to get paid, so he's going to make the price as high as he wants it, as he can get, as high as it's going to pay, and that gets out of hand. But now, what do I got to tell all my working class buddies? Well, it's all those people over there that's ruining the system. And you're thinking, so yeah, man, I've got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this, and it's not fair that they get this. That system over there was told to do that because now they're going to vote for me, right? But the whole thing is that system of big pharma is trying to tell everybody we're going to have this system and we're going to skyrocket the prices and we're going to rob everybody, right? Because it's not that person didn't have enough because the price of the medication that really helped them wasn't, but it wasn't that much and it's going to be paid. It's the system's not messed up because one or two people are abusing it. The system's messed up because the system designed it that way. Now, how do I get into that, man? I don't have time to get into all the details, but what I really have an idea of doing is there is a great system of independent researchers, people who have the time to sit at home and get onto the internet, and we have the ability to do some amazing research and to pull up Freedom of Information Act, declassified information, to put it together, to find out who's really if you're a scientist researching something and your money is paid by this group of people, they're going to tell you, well, we want you to look over here, right? We want you to look over here, look over here, look over here, right? Let's say you're driving down your car, and as you're driving, the engine dies, right? So you kind of pull over to the side of the road, and you're saying, all right, my engine died. What do I need to do? Somebody's going to call you up and say, go check the back tire. So you're going to go back there, and you're going to change your tire. You're going to learn how to change your tire. You're going to change it, and you're going to know everything about the tire, and then you're going to go try to start the car, but all that time wasted looking at the back tire, you're supposed to look over at the alternator, okay? Well, as long as somebody's paying the bill, let's say that's what your mechanic was doing, right? He's checking the back tire, and your insurance is going to pay for him to change the back tire, and he's not fixing your engine. Well, that's what happens on a lot of these studies, right? Somebody's paying for it. They've got an idea of what they want, and they've got an agenda, and they've got an idea, right? And he who pays the bills gets to say how things get done. And that happens in science, and it happens in medical, and it happens all over the place. Now, how do you know this? Where do you find this out? Well, you've got to go back, and you've got to do your history. And if you forgot something that happened 2 weeks ago, how are you supposed to know something that happened 15 years ago,
Sure.
30 years ago? And who's going to tell you? Your first source of knowledge and information is going to come from your media, your entertainment, because that's where we're learning a lot of our history is through our movies
Right.
and our
Right.
and our music, right? And as long as you play the game, you can succeed. And when you start to go against that, you're going to be a witness against something that doesn't want you to testify. So the idea is we've got this internet, we've got this platform where we have all these independent alternative media,
Hmm.
right? It's a dirty word. It's a dirty word. It's a dirty word because it's fighting the way things have always been. And you say, well, that person's not. He's not held up to the standard of a quality journalist. Well, what's going to happen, and it's kind of like the way Bitcoin works, right? You mine Bitcoin. So you say, this is a huge system where all these different computers, uh, they audit each other, right? You're trying to Bitcoin mining, right? All this network of computers, everybody's mining these Bitcoins, right?
Hmm.
Dictating what they're worth, and the algorithms set themselves, and there's no centralized control system, right? So it's a checks and balance system within itself. Well, the internet's like that. That's what we're doing. All this communications within itself. So you have things, this alternative media, these people that sit down and they do the research. Now what happens is you have a whistleblower in a system saying, hey, this isn't right. This isn't right. I need to get this out, but if I come out and announce it, I'm going to get discredited. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to get suicided, right? So you can't do that. You can't just come out with that. So what do? You have to cryptically get this message out. Do you leak it to a journalist, right? Well, we've already admitted that the journalists are running, they're working for the organization that sets up the idea
Right.
system. So if I'm a informations analyst, right, I'm going to kind of get with this person over here and kind of direct them in a direction to do their own research and to find it out. And that's really what's going on right now. I mean, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but the QAnon phenomenon, right? There is somebody, and it's probably a group of people who is they're inside of the White House, right? And they're in an intelligence position. They can tell it by they're very cryptic in what they say, and they're leading these anons, right? These anonymous researchers
Hmm.
say, "Go look over here," and that anon goes and does the research, and they compile the research. And this is a way that we're telling people, "You've been lied to. This is where you go look. This is what you find out." Now, hey, we got all these clans, man. People are going to say, no, 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 no. I support tails. And these people are going to say, I support heads.
Hmm.
And I've been told forever that heads is good. And this one's been telling you been told heads is bad, right? The thing is you've been told that by the same coin. It's the same coin controlling you.
It's a perfect system.
Absolutely.
Well, not perfect in a
But
good
it
way.
works. It
Yeah,
works.
but yeah, it's
And it works very well.
that's what I meant.
So what do? We've got to unify. We've got to break these clans. You can maintain your culture, but you can maintain your differences, but you've got to find out what's chaining you up, what's preventing you from getting out of the cave.
So how do we wake up?
That obviously, I would love to say that I have that answer, right? But what I'm looking for isn't necessarily the truth, but exposing the lies. Take the time to recognize our future media isn't going to be some centralized owned entity. It is going to be a network of researchers, and I'm going to give you, you've got you got trolls, you got counter narratives, you've got all these things. But at least you understand what your principles are. And that's really important to know what your principles are. Uh, uh, Now, how do you say this? When you've been told for so long that this is the way something is, this is the way something is, and I don't care who you are because you've been controlled. Everybody's got to realize, oh, I'm not the one, I didn't have it right. You're going to hit a moment of cognitive dissonance,
Hmm.
right? And
Okay.
you're going to have this faith in this system and this idea, and at some point you're going to have to sit down and say, well, why do I know that? Am I willing to look at something else? Was I being deceived? Nobody likes to admit that they're being deceived. So what I'm trying to get an idea of is at least people who will listen to me. I can't change the world. I'm hoping that maybe I can get 100 people to listen to me, right?
Hmm.
Maybe 100 people, maybe they tell somebody and they tell somebody else, right? Certain people aren't going to change their mind and you can't do nothing about that.
Hmm.
And then certain, you're hoping to find somebody that's looking for something that they don't quite know what, but they're wanting to say, this doesn't feel right.
Right.
And now those are the people you're really kind of looking for and say, okay, what do you believe in? What in your heart of hearts, in your soul, what is good, what is bad?
Right.
And then I can start saying, okay, let's look at this particular idea, right? And let's get into the trees of the forest and start looking at the particulars. And I'm not the one, but you can tell me, hey, I think this. Well, here is those anons. These are the people that have researched it. These are the people who have got into the system, right? They don't necessarily have to have gotten there illegally, but they put the time and the effort to pull up the
Hmm.
documents. Everything's on video now. I mean, if you want to watch congressional hearings, people don't do it. I watch congressional hearings, all right? Sometimes you watch these people, and you really get a different feel for watching these interactions, right? And if you're watching the Comey hearings or the Benghazi hearings or, all the Russian collusion hearings,
Hmm.
right? And there's an idea, you get told what happened because nobody wants to sit there and watch C-SPAN all day, all right? But somebody does it, and then they put together their little clip, right?
Right.
And now, man, I watched 19. This is embarrassing to say, but I watched 19 hours of a Yale Civil War professor talk about, I mean, in-depth stuff of what happened in the Civil War, right? There's a Yale professor. I mean, it's like sitting in the class getting, no, I didn't read the books, I didn't take the test, but I mean, I got the source, right?
Sure.
You can learn engineering, you can do physics. I mean, you can learn it all on the internet. Problem is vetting solid information. Okay, so if you're only listening to what you want, or you're only listening to one source, right? Then you're going to be quick to be swayed. So the idea is that that network of everybody who says, I researched this, I researched this, I researched this, right?
Hmm.
There's going to be kind of like a hierarchy of events, the people who agree with this idea and then go, and ironically it goes right back into the clan system of ideas. But researching and knowing what's going on and not taking the system's word on it, because when you really stop and look at uh, the things that we're told, right? And it could be nutrition, it could be, we all know that nutrition's bad and everybody's getting fat, but nobody really knows why. They just been told that,
Yep.
these old wives' tales. It's this, it's this, it's this. But there's really research on there. But if you know that nutrition leads to good health and making you sick, right? It's not crazy how you get diabetes. You get diabetes because it's an insulin problem. How do you get insulin? What's causing the insulin problem? It has to do with insulin is responding to sugar. You
Mm-hmm.
get too much sugar, you wear out, you get insulin resistant. The
Right.
science is there,
Right.
but nobody wants to do that. You get this. I want the simple answer,
The quick
and
and easy
the
button.
simple answer is you got too many calories, so now you're fat.
Right.
Well, and it sounds good. It's thermodynamics. Biochemistry trumps thermodynamics. Okay. There's a lot of research on that, but that's not what you hear because the food industry wants to sell you food. They want to sell you food that's cheap. They want to sell you food that sits on the shelf for a long time. And then that's what you eat. It's quick, it's easy, you eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get sick. So you go to the doctor. The doctor gives you a medication. Medication treats a symptom, doesn't really treat the cause. And then the next thing you know, you have some kind of chronic long term illness. You may live to be 80, but you're going to be dependent on this medical system of
Mm-hmm.
chronic diseases, right? Chronic diseases, we live longer than we ever have, but we've got diseases that didn't affect us 100 years ago.
Right.
Again, those tie together. So the idea is to start, instead of watching, everything's on demand now, Nobody's going to watch this show live. I don't have to have 2,000 people watch it right now. I'm going to put it online, and
Mm-hmm.
people want to check it out. They can listen to it on their way to work. But
Right.
it's not that complicated. My
Right.
phone,
Right.
your phone hooks up to your car now, and you listen to it on your speaker. And
Three tap of the buttons, and you got the show sitting right there.
absolutely. And we keep a small audience. People want to call in and want to say, I want to know about this. I
Mm-hmm.
want to know about this. And for one, don't take my word for it. Research it. But nobody has time to get the research, right? So you say, I want to know about this. Okay, well, Lionel Nation, he's a great show. He's got so many followers. He talks about this, he talks about this, he talks about this. Anti-School's been doing research on this particular subject. You should follow him. He's good, he's a good reference.
Cool.
So-and-so has a counter narrative to his narrative. Listen to both sides. Let your common sense kind of
Find
guide
that.
you to
Uh-huh.
what you think,
Right.
right?
Right.
Start eliminating these manipulations, and there's manipulations. I can play on you by making you angry. I can
Mm-hmm.
play on you by making you feel sad, and I can know how to pull your strings by dictating the way you feel about yourself.
Exactly.
And there's at some point, how do you do this? I don't know, but you've got to release those insecurities. But where our insecurities are being pushed on us by, uh, newspapers, commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Commercials are taking advantage of us all the time, and it's dictating that, and you believe these things, and even though you might, as an individual, you might not believe it, but a group think starts to take on. So the idea of this show is to hopefully get people to call. I'm going to give examples. I'm going to give examples of, you know, uh, the Iran-Contra stuff. I want to get into some medical and nutrition stuff. I want to get into some political stuff. I want to get into, just different historical events and kind of examples of how you've been taken advantage of to believe this stuff. I hope to get into maybe some civil rights things and what was going on in the 60s, uh, you know, going to the moon, fighting communism, civil rights movements. A lot of things was going on. A lot of great history. Very profound decade, right? But again, you can't go too fast.
Right. Give
And
him give him the alphabet before
alphabet before Shakespeare.
Right.
So that's the idea, and hopefully we'll get more people to listen, and people start to get emails in, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll grow our little show together. We'll kind of make our we're gonna blend with a lot of different personalities. I got my
Absolutely.
amigos down in West Texas. I hope they're listening to me, Lewis and Joel. I got my buddy of mine, Mike. He's a art history major, and I got a lot of different people. From all over the world, different cultures. Let's embrace our differences. Let's
Right.
let's look at how beautiful we are as an individual and how we're not all equal, and come together and utilize those differences to make, the things that I don't do. I look at you and I think, man, that's awesome. You run this, you run the soundboard and you do such a great job. There's no way I could do that. And maybe I could learn it. Maybe I can't learn it. But the thing is I appreciate you for your ability to do that, right?
Right.
And I don't know what I have, but whatever it is, I'm good. I'm cool with it,
Well versed, very well versed on these topics, and just a good teacher.
Well,
I don't know a lot of the topics when we get started, but by the end of the conversation, I've come out learned a lot.
right.
So,
Well, hopefully everybody enjoys the show. We're kind of growing our audience. Last show we kind of had an issue with the music and the intro music and the outgoing music. I said, "Take us home, Malcolm," and people were like, "Well, who the hell's Malcolm?" And I was like, "Well, that was Malcolm X. He got edited out, but
right.
really yesterday was the 53rd anniversary. I don't like to use the word anniversary, but of his assassination. And there's a story there.
Okay.
And it's a profound story. I think the world lost a hero, and people don't know much about him or what he was saying. Now, he had a specific fight and a specific role, but he was fighting this system that we're talking about. He wasn't fighting the white man. He wasn't fighting, he was saying something about the system of control that is suppressing us all. It
Right.
suppresses us all. But we'll get into that in another show. And again, I guess we're closing up here. Want everybody to watch the show. Give me a like, subscribe, and please share. If you got any questions or want me to cover any particular topic, you can reach me at Cavender, Cavender _R@me.com. I will be more than happy to respond to you and kind of work on some ideas. Not quite sure when the next show is going to be, but I'm definitely thinking about doing I'm going to call it the Cocaine Import Agency, the CIA, and kind of talk about a lot of the things that went on during Iran-Contra, which still goes on today, and a lot of your illegal drug trade, and how we talk about how the system put drugs in the black neighborhood. Well, let's kind of delve into that, how it happened, and more details. So with that, Thomas, I've enjoyed it. We're looking forward to our next show, and
Thank you very much for having me, man. It was a pleasure listening and being a part of this podcast.